Hi, in this video I will give you a pregnancy tip. There's a doctor in Honduras, she's a chemist, but when she was pregnant, I think she's had 3 or 4 kids, and when she was pregnant she used to take a teaspoon of olive oil every day, and she says that her kids, all of them were born, what was it? It was an easy birth. That is, they just slipped out and that's how they were born. Because sometimes during the birth, I was there for 2 births. Not that doctor's, for the current wife. And what happened was, my daughter, they had to put a vacuum into the vagina to suction out my daughter, and then of course her head came out. The vacuum was connected to the head. It wasn't a noisy vacuum, it was something like air pressure type of vacuum, something like a plunger, but a medical device. And yeah, it was all red and her head was deformed, but as soon as maybe 2 weeks later, I don't remember when, 3 weeks later, a month later, her head was round again. So that was round, normal again. That was the first pregnancy, and that was also a difficult time for giving birth for this spouse. Because it took over 12 hours. Apparently when you get the pain, it's 12 hours later that the baby is going to be born. The second child was a cesarean. So this one, she was in pain a long time and all night. And the cesareans, apparently they don't cut open until 7 o'clock in the morning or something. The doctors do their thing. And that was it. Just 2 births. But if you haven't had any kids yet, that would be good advice, just to take a teaspoon of olive oil. Check with everybody you want to check with, your mom, your grandma, or something, doctor. Alright, so enjoy your life, be better than I am. Of course, supervise your children. I ran into, the spouse at the library ran into a lady that had a boyfriend for a while, but they ended up splitting up because the kids didn't stop arguing. His kids with her kids, so like a blended family is apparently harder than a regular family. Maybe it isn't, but my 2 kids start arguing, so I just take photographs of what each of one does to the other, like throwing clothes on the floor, throwing the basketball over the fence. They each have their own basketballs, but of course they throw each other's basketball over the fence. Then I don't let them go to the neighbor's yard. The spouse has to do it. And the neighbor has been kind and hasn't mentioned it one time. But I just don't like going into the neighbor's property. What else? So yeah, supervise your kids. I actually don't leave them alone by themselves, not even to play basketball, because something will go wrong. As soon as I'm not there, something will go wrong. So some people say, gosh, Daniel, you don't have a job and my job is just to supervise the kids. When I looked at the poster at the food stamp office, it said, after high school you could be in the military, in a job, living on your own, in a job living with your parents, or just living with your parents, I think was the option. The other one was homeless, and I didn't like that one. And then of course the fifth option was married and a homemaker. Well, I don't know if they said married, but I'm a homemaker, that definitely. Because I don't see the value in going to work. I mean, sure, to go feed the kids, but if your spouse spends the money the way you don't want it to be spent, then it's well, many people tell me just move out, but I'm not leaving my kids. For what? So that, I've spoken to other guys that grew up without their parents. I mean, they had parents. It's just they grew up in child care, and then daycare, and then it was after school care, and they said not only the injuries, but broken elbow and things like that, things that make you apparently you're not able to join the military because you had a broken elbow or something. I don't know. I mean, if I have kids, I want to be around with them, I think that public schools, they belong to kids that don't have parents, because homeschooling is 100% better if you're the type of dad that I am that wants to, for instance, my son, usually he sits in the hammock with me. I have his hammock here ready, and we're not sharing hooks anymore. Now we got two separate hooks. We got two over there, two in the back. All right, you can see. I don't know if you can see, but the hook's up there. We got separate hooks now. All right, so back to the pregnancy. Read and sing with your children, even if they're not born yet. You can read stories to them, something cute, something you can make up your own. I like Booker T. Washington. Can you imagine being born 100 years ago, or maybe longer, and you were born a slave, and then you grow up, and some reason later on you're a black man that traveled to Europe, Holland I think is where he went. Well, he went to a bunch of places, Paris I think, but he went over there and he observed how people lived, and he said that the black people in the United States looked like the Holland people, in the sense that they're both into agriculture in the south of the United States. They're both growing their own food, but it says that in Holland they're 200 years ahead of us because the children are side by side with their parents planting food. And in the United States, the black families apparently were like that 100 years ago, side by side with the children in the fields. But he also mentioned that in Holland, they don't waste land. They really do, like, maybe it's only an acre, but they really cultivate it. Whereas in the United States 100 years ago, in farming, you could have 50 acres, but they were not well maintained. All right, back to the pregnancy. Enjoy your children. Make sure you're well rested, and everything works out. Just pray to your God. Everything works out. My God is, I do the Our Father, but I wonder, why didn't Jesus say Our Father Jehovah or something, you know, hallowed be thy name. Why did he, you know, I always wonder about that. So I'll ask him when I get to meet him, if I'm fortunate enough. But I still say the Our Father. I might skip the hallowed be thy name because it doesn't really mean much to me. As far as I've heard, you know, from Jehovah's Witnesses and and people that read the Bible, Baptists even, that Jehovah, they're putting the name Jehovah back into the Bible, and that it was taken out. But then the Jews, they might call God Yahweh. But and I saw one Jewish book in my life as a security guard. Someone left it on the desk in the Jewish buildings in, well, not Jewish buildings. They're the rich condominiums with the millionaires and Mercedes. I was a security guard there, and somebody left this book there. And it had the word, it was in English, it had the word God, and it only had G-D. And then it reminded me that the Jews, maybe their alphabet didn't have vowels or something like that, or at least not, they were not used when they referred to God. Oh well, either way, we got Jesus. Nobody's changed his name yet. The New Testament talks about him. But the reason I talk about religion and talking to your God is because you will have some challenges with your children, and it's important to, like the first time I held my daughter, I was like, oh boy, now what do I do? You know, it's like I'm holding her and I'm like, oh my goodness, now what do I do? And then later on I started thinking, what religion do I teach this child? And then I started thinking, what is my religion? What was mine? And I'm like, well. And then I found all the faults with my religion. Basically, I didn't read the Bible. That was the main fault. Now they have a bunch of books. You could get into the Boring Bible series, which I haven't read yet, but I'm interested in saving up for it. Boring Bible. Seems interesting. Alright, talk to you later. Enjoy your life with your child. Oh, and a big tip. Read the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Read all of them. I like Article 3. Everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of person. I also like Article 13.2. Everyone has the right to leave his or her country and to return to his or her country. Look up the story of Gary Davis. He was the first old man, well now he's an old man, 80-something, that he was the first person to have the World Citizen Passport. Passport number 1. Talk to you later. Enjoy your life. God bless you.